So let's talk about properties and some fun stuff you can do with the objects. Let's start with the artboard. When you click on the artboard, you will see on the right um, some adjustments you can do with your artboard, whether it's vertical or horizontal, and the size of the artboard, which is by default the device that you chose, but you can always adjust, and you can lock the ratio down here. And then there's a pretty interesting function called responsive resize. What this means is that by turning this on, you can turn this screen into a responsive screen, which layout will automatically adjust based on the size. So if I'm gonna turn this into a website, you can see that I'm stretching it. Some elements got stretched out, but some remain the same. And Adobe has a smart way of calculating the algorithm goes behind it. Um, Doing this, you gotta make sure that you have the right option for each of the elements. For example, for this one, if you want it to be aligned to the right, you have to click on this right align, and then also for this one, make sure that I'm gonna make sure that this is gonna be aligned with maybe this, and then when I'm hitting the responsive resize, you can see that it stays, it's been logged. Um, for the items that are being centered aligned, it's going to remain the center. And images, so if something being recognized as images, most of the chance XC is going to stretch that out, but remain is racial. So it's a pretty cool feature. Um, yeah, it's about that. And if you uncheck this, um, it will just do this. And scrolling. So you can scroll a page if it's long enough. Here it says viewport height 812, which is the same as the height of the canvas. What if I change this number to 400? You can see there's a dashed line in the center of the screen. And when I display this, you can see that it's being cut off, just as what the dashed line shows here. So the viewport means how much content the viewers can see. I'm switching it back to the same height. And when I'm stretching, when I'm resizing, oh, here's the trouble. I need to turn off this responsive resize. And then when I'm stretch this, you can see the dashed line reappears, right? This means that when I'm displaying it, I can see the whole thing, but I can also scroll down to see the thing below it. Of course, I'm in the setting of a vertical scroll. You can also choose to a none, which means the screen will be non-scrollable. So when you display it, it's just gonna show the whole thing. So usually we'll have, okay, now I'm got myself into trouble. Yeah, I'm taking it back one step. And appearance, there is only one option here, which is to choose the fill color. If you uncheck this box, it's gonna go transparent. And this is pretty useful when you are doing an overlay window. So sometimes you probably want no background. And for the fill, you can choose either solid color, linear, gradient, you can add dots, you can do, like I'm gonna do a pretty gradient just between some colors, maybe. And I can choose how these gradients being laid out. So want it to be displayed in an angle, you can certainly do that. Yeah, there you go. And last but not least, the grid. This is a super helpful tool, and I highly suggest that you set up a grid every time before you start a project. This will help every page maintain in the same visual structure, and can choose to either do a square or a layout. Um, there's a small technique that comes in handy. So you see now the columns are kind of in in the view of our design. So it just adds a lot of trouble. You can't see the real color, etc. So what I'll do is that I will choose a 2 column, and then I'll push the width to the very end. So if the width right now is 375, I'll choose to probably do that. And it says oh sorry, the gutter width, which means which is the gutter is the space between the 2 columns. I want it to be wide. And then the column width was the actual space that I want to left on the 2 sides. So in this case, I'll put 15 points, maybe. Yeah, there we go. So you can see now I have a guide that will not block out my design if I turn this to like, you can see clear this way, right? So this is something that's super useful. And yeah, um, that's it for the artboard properties.